Hello. The Harry Potter author J.K. Rowling used to be known as a Labour stalwart, which always puzzled me because I could see in her work a profound suspicion of political correctness and general conformity, which is unfortunately a feature of the Labour Party of late. The creation of such characters as Mrs. Dolores Umbridge, the Minister for Political Correctness or whatever she was, a woman whose first name tells us how anti-fun she is and whose family name tells us how ready she is to take offence or adopt offence on behalf of others at the drop of a hat. In the choice of her name rather, you can see how Rowling has taken a leaf out of Dickens' Big Book of Names, with one of my favourite Dickensian characters being Uriah Heep, whose name almost literally means a pile of excrement. Anyway, back to Rowling. And by the way, the name is pronounced Rowling, not Rowling. The British are most particular about their mispronunciations, which they institutionalise with gay abandon. Everyone who doesn't know, calls the childhood home of Princess Diana, it's spelt Althorp, A-L-T-H-O-R-P, Althorp House, and is pronounced by the family as Althorp. That separates the hoi polloi from the people who are really in the know now, doesn't it? Anyway, back to Ms. Rowling. She was well known, despite my suspicions, as a Labour stalwart. I think she did. She actually donated £1 million to the Labour Party at one point, and then another £1 million to the Labour cause during their Remainer campaign, during the Brexit referendum campaign, which was a losing wicket, one of the many losing wickets that Labour seems to have chosen with unerring accuracy over the past few years. But last week she tweeted out the following: "The Labour Party can no longer be counted on to defend women's rights. But I repeat, women are organising across party lines and their resolve and their anger are growing." I have to remind you that last September, Keir Starmer, leader of the Labour Party, was caught in an interview in this way.
Is it transphobic to say only women have a cervix?
Well, it is something that shouldn't be said. It is not right. But Andrew, I don't think that...
So Rosie Duffield should not have said that. Can you explain to people watching why she should not have said that?
Well, Andrew, I don't think that we can just go through various things that people... We do everybody a disservice when we reduce what is a really important issue to these exchanges on particular things that are said.
While on Wednesday, Yvette Cooper, another shadow cabinet minister, refused to give a definition of a woman and dropped into a little, one hopes, unintentional ribaldry, describing the definition of a woman as a rabbit hole. When told it was straightforward to explain what a woman is, she replied, "As you can see, I am avoiding going down a rabbit hole. It's pointless." Well, yeah, a rabbit hole is indeed pointless. Anyway, all joking aside, this does rather show up the sort of Alice in Wonderland universe inhabited by the left with their progressiveness. Remember what the Red Queen said from Alice Through the Looking Glass. Hang on, I wrote this one down because I knew I wouldn't remember it. Yeah, Alice laughed. "One can't believe impossible things." "I dare say you haven't had much practice," said the Queen. "When I was younger, I always did it for half an hour a day. Why, sometimes I've believed as many as 6 impossible things before breakfast." And it shows how much the Labour Party have become obsessed with not offending fringe groups with loud voices at the cost of alienating perhaps 98% of the rest of the voting population. Rowling's first foray into gender issues were originally, well, they still are really, but at the beginning, very polite and tolerant, somewhat tentative. It wasn't as if she was calling for the persecution of transgender people. She was simply stating that women needed protection from the fakes and the predators who have taken shelter among that group. But instead of discussion, her words sparked a storm of vituperation and the very opposite of reasoned discussion, which might come up with some sort of an answer, a solution to the difficulties faced by transgender people. And unfortunately, most of the Labour Party stalwarts joined this delirious mob like a bunch of hopped up peasants with pitchforks, while the more reasonable ones, who weren't actually heaving the pitchforks or carrying the torches, they stood on one side and kept quiet. This is not going to do the Labour Party any good at the next elections, for sure. And once more, Boris Johnson, he's the luckiest man alive, you know. The fuss about his lack of punctiliousness about the lockdown rules have completely disappeared in the whole Ukraine disaster, and now the Labour Party is just handing him some more benefits on a plate. Unfortunately, in a grim sort of way, at least I'm just hoping that the economic realities of the Ukraine war might keep Johnson's madder ecological nonsense under control, a job that should have been done by an opposition party, if we had one that made any sense. In many ways, while the opposition party that isn't argues about whether or not a woman has a cervix, we will all be asking the question about whether a Labour politician has a brain or a backbone. And I, with my backbone, am Graniopteryx. I am to be found on YouTube, Rumble, BitChute and Minds. I let you know about new uploads on Twitter, Gab and Parler, where my handle is @Graniopteryx. Please like this video, share it, support my channel if you can. Yeah, I think that just about covers everything. Till next time. Why not treat yourself or a favoured relative or friend to these magnificent examples of merch? The mugs and t-shirts come in the Graniopteryx design or Granbow with a firearm or the more deadly knitting needles. Go to www.graniopteryx.com and whatever platform you're watching this on, please click like, subscribe and share.